Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about two more types of congruence in triangles. Today we're going to do side, 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 and side, angle, side. So yesterday, to prove triangles were congruent, we needed 6 pieces. Today we're just going to use 3. We can show because of the sides, and then we're going to show side, angle, side. So the first part, it says if 3 sides of one triangle are congruent to 3 sides of another, then they have to be congruent. Woo, common sense, right? Okay, so we're going to prove these two triangles are congruent. So we're going to start again like how we had started yesterday by talking about what we know, what information we're given. I think I used red for that. Oh, that's not what I need because that was way too large for our writing purposes. I'm not going to have enough room. My computer screen needs to stop bouncing. Hold on. There we go. So, number 1, we're going to be our given, and we're going to talk about what we see. So I see things that are drawn on there, and I see things in words. So I see N is the midpoint of X, Y, and I see AX is congruent to AY. So let's copy it down. I'm going to fix that because that looks pretty chicken scratchy. And then we also know that AX is congruent to AY. Now, let's make sure that stuff's marked. Okay, my AX is marked and my AY is marked. Awesome. But what does that word midpoint mean? Well, midpoint means it cuts something in half. It's in the middle. So here's my ruler of 0 to 12 inches. Dead center in the middle is 6 inches because it's half of it, and this half has to be 6 inches, and this half has to be 6 inches. So that means that XM has to be congruent to YM. Why? Definition of midpoint. So we're talking about side, side, side right now. So we've got one side, 2 side. Woo, we're almost there. We need one more side. So can anyone see that missing side? Good, that guy in the middle. So number 3, AM has to be congruent to AM. Why? Well, it's the same dude again, isn't it? So that's going to be my reflexive property. And then number 4, did I show everything? Do I have all 3 angles? Yes, I do. So step 4, triangle AMX is congruent. Oof. Been some rough time trying to write over here today. Is congruent, no, marker please, to triangle AMY, Y, side, side, side. I cannot write S's today. All right, next example. So, what do we know? Well, I am told that H is midpoint of, ow. I'm trying really hard today, guys. I promise you I am. It's just not working out. So I'm told that H is the midpoint of GH. But is that all I know? Do I have things going on in my picture that aren't necessarily written down for me? Yeah, I know that GF is congruent to KJ. And I know that FH is going to be congruent to JH. Why? That is all pieces of given information to me. All right, if I'm trying to do side, 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 I need to know one more side. I've got one side, I've got two sides. So I need to somehow prove that that GH is congruent to KH. Well, what do I know up here about H? It's the midpoint. So if it's the midpoint, isn't he in the middle? So therefore, wouldn't these have to be congruent? So number 2, GH is congruent to KH. Why? Definition of midpoint. So let's take a look. Do I have all 3 things written and accounted for? Cool. So now I can say triangle FGH is congruent to triangle JKH. Why are those 2 guys congruent? Side, side, side. Okay, we're going to talk next about side angle side. So if 2 sides and the included angles, that's something I really want to point out here. We're going to even highlight it. The included angle are congruent, then the 2 triangles are congruent. So notice how this goes. It goes side, angle, side, or side, angle, side. The angle I'm talking about needs to be in between those 2 sides. So I have it here at C, and I have it here at D. Therefore, this is why it goes side, angle, side. Woo, color scheme. Alrighty, so sometimes our pictures are not marked up for us. So what that means is we need to take a look at what's been given to us and write it ourselves. So let's go get our stuff ready to get written down. So I have on number 1, GK bisects angle JGM. I also have that GJ is congruent to GM. So I don't have that GJ is congruent to GM on there, so I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to physically mark up the picture myself because I need to show what I need to see what I'm missing. So I've used that part, but have I talked about that bisect part yet? Well, what does the definition of bisect mean? Well, bisect means it cuts something in half. So if GK right here bisects J to G to M, that means that this angle has to be equal to this angle. So how do I write that? I say JGK is congruent to angle MGK. Why? This time it's definition of bisect. That's kind of similar to midpoint. Midpoint is saying it's in the middle, and because it's in the middle, they have to be the same. Bisect means it's cutting in half, so therefore they have to be equal. Close. Sounds almost exactly the same, but they're not. They are two different things. Okay, well, I'm going to erase that line that I used to talk about my angle with. So if I'm looking for a side, an angle, and then another side, do I have all my pieces yet? No, I'm missing what? A side. So logically, I'm going to use a highlighter for a moment. If I want side, then angle, then side, if I have this side and this angle, would it make sense to use this side over here? Does that go in order? No, it doesn't. So I need to talk about that side. Because wouldn't it be similar on this side of my triangle as well? Go back to your colors for a second. Doesn't that make sense? That it would have to be JK? Because I don't know anything about JK. At least me. It would have to be GK. I don't know anything about JK or MK. So what I'm going to say next is... Step 3, GK is congruent to GK. Why? That's my reflexive property. And now look, now that I've talked about that guy, I'm going to lose my marks. I think I undid too much there. No, I didn't. Redo. Sorry, guys. I just got confused and I didn't want to undo something that was already in my problem. Okay, so getting rid of my marks there. So we already knew about my angles being congruent here and here. We also had known about my sides being congruent. So now we just said with my purple that this has to be congruent based on reflexive. So do I have enough now to say whether I have side, angle, side? You're darn tootin' I do. So number 4, triangle GJK is congruent to triangle GMK based on side, angle, side. All right, I want you to try and see what you can put together based on the given information in front of you. So I need you to pause, I need you to write it down, and I need you to mark up your paper. I can't do these without making half the colors I do. So if I have to mark this, you have to mark it. Get busy. So we should have been able to at least get to that step. So I need a side, an angle, and a side. So that means I only need one more thing. I need that other side, which would have to be here in the middle. So it would be my RS. It would have to be congruent to RS. Why? my reflexive property guy. And now I should have enough to do a side, an angle and a side. Woo-hoo-hoo. Guess what? Triangle RSG is congruent to triangle RSH. Base and side, angle side. And that's all, folks.